replacement was under development. 26. Dick Cheney told the Senate Appropriations Committee that the SR-71 cost $85,000 per hour to operate. 118. Opponents estimated the aircraft's support cost at $400 to $700 million per year, though the cost was actually closer to $300 million. 26. The SR-71, while much more capable than the Lockheed U-2 in terms of range, speed, and survivability, suffered the lack of a data link, which the U-2 had been upgraded to carry. This meant that much of the SR-71's imagery and radar data could not be used in real time, but had to wait until the aircraft returned to base. This lack of immediate real-time capability was used as one of the justifications to close down the program. The counter-argument was that the longer the SR-71 was not upgraded as aggressively as it ought to have been, the more people could say that it was obsolescent, which was in their interest as champions of other programs, a self-fulfilling bias. Attempts to add a data link to the SR-71 were stymied early on by the same factions in the Pentagon and Congress who were already set on the program's demise, even in the early 1980s. These same factions also forced expensive sensor upgrades to the SR-71, which did little to increase its mission capabilities, but could be used as justification for complaining about the cost of the program. 26. In 1988, Congress was convinced to allocate $160,000 to keep 6 SR-71s and a trainer model in flyable storage that could become flight-worthy within 60 days. However, the USAF refused to spend the money. 26. 204. While the SR-71 survived attempts to retire it in 1988, partly due to the unmatched ability to provide high-quality coverage of the Kola Peninsula for the U.S. Navy. 119. 26. 194. 195. The decision to retire the SR-71 from active duty came in 1989, with the last missions flown in October that year. 120. 4 months after the plane's retirement, General Norman Schwarzkopf Jr. was told that the expedited reconnaissance, which the SR-71 could have provided, was unavailable during Operation Desert Storm. 121. The SR-71 program's main operational capabilities came to a close at the end of fiscal year 1989, October 1989. The 1st Strategic Reconnaissance Squadron, 1 SRS, kept its pilots and aircraft operational and active, and flew some operational reconnaissance missions through the end of 1989 and into 1990, due to uncertainty over the timing of the final termination of funding for the program. The squadron finally closed in mid-1990, and the aircraft were distributed to static display locations, with a number kept in reservist storage. 26. Reactivation. From the operator's perspective, what I need is something that will not give me just a spot and team but will give me a track of what is happening. When we are trying to find out if the Serbs are taking arms, moving tanks or artillery into Bosnia, we can get a picture of them stacked upon the Serbian side of the bridge. We do not know whether they then went on to move across that bridge. We need the data that a tactical, an SR-71, a U-2, or an unmanned vehicle of some sort, will give us, in addition to, not in replacement of, the ability of the satellites to go around and check not only that spot but a lot of other spots around the world for us. It is the integration of strategic and tactical. Response from Admiral Richard C. Mack to the Senate Committee on Armed Services. 122, SR-71-02, and SR-71B Trainer Edwards AFB, CA, 1992. Due to unease over political situations in the Middle East and North Korea, the U.S. Congress re-examined the SR-71 beginning in 1993. 121, Rear Admiral Thomas F. Hall addressed the question of why the SR-71 was retired, saying it was under the belief that given the time delay associated with mounting a mission, conducting a reconnaissance, retrieving the data, processing it, and jetting it out to a field commander, that you had a problem in timelines that was not going to meet the tactical requirements on the modern battlefield. And the determination was that if one could take advantage of technology and develop a system that could get that data back real time, that would be able to meet the unique requirements of the tactical commander. Hall also stated they were looking at alternative means of doing the job of the SR-71. 122, Mack told the committee that they were flying U-2S, RC-135S, and other strategic and tactical assets to collect information in some areas. 122, Senator Robert Byrd and other senators complained that the Better-Tarn successor to the SR-71 had yet to be developed at the cost of the good enough serviceable aircraft. They maintained that, in a time of constrained military budgets, designing, building, and testing an aircraft with the same capabilities as the SR-71 would be impossible. 104. Congress's disappointment with the lack of a suitable replacement for the Blackbird was cited concerning whether to continue funding imaging sensors on the U-2. Congressional conferees stated the experience with the SR-71 serves as a reminder of the pitfalls of failing to keep existing systems up to date and capable in the hope of acquiring other capabilities. 104. It was agreed to add $100 million to the budget to return 3 SR-71s to service, but it was emphasized that this would not prejudice support for long-endurance WAVs, such as the Global Hawk. The funding was later cut to $72.5 million. 104. The Skunk Works was able to return the aircraft to service under budget at $72 million. 123. Retired USAF Colonel J. Murphy was made the program manager for Lockheed's reactivation plans. Retired USAF Colonels Don Emmons and Barry McKean were put under government contract to remake F-planes' logistic and support structure. Still active USAF pilots and reconnaissance systems officers, RSOs, who had worked with the aircraft were asked to volunteer to fly the reactivated planes. The aircraft was under the command and control of the 9th Reconnaissance Wing at Beale Air Force Base and flew out of a renovated hangar at Edwards Air Force Base. Modifications were made to provide a data link with near real-time transmission of the advanced synthetic aperture radar's imagery to sites on the ground. 104. Final retirement. The reactivation met much resistance. The USAF had not budgeted for the aircraft, and UAV developers worried that their programs would suffer if money was shifted to support the SR-71s. Also, with relocation requiring yearly reaffirmation by Congress, long-term planning for the SR-71 was difficult. 104. In 1996, the USAF claimed that specific funding had not been authorized, and moved to ground the program. Congress reauthorized the funds. But, in October 1997, President Bill Clinton attempted to use the line-item veto to cancel the $39 million allocated for the SR-71. In June 1998, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the line-item veto was unconstitutional. All this left the SR-71's status uncertain until September 1998, when the USAF called for the funds to be redistributed. The USAF permanently retired it in 1998. NASA operated the two last airworthy Blackbirds until 1999. 124. All other Blackbirds have been moved to museums except for the two SR-71s and a few D-21 drones retained by the NASA Dredon Flight Research Center, later renamed the Armstrong Flight Research Center. 123. Timeline. 1950s 1960s. The 24th of December, 1957, first J-58 engine run. The 1st of May, 1960, Francis Gary Powers is shot down in a Lockheed U-2 over the Soviet Union. The 13th of June, 1962, SR-71 mock-up reviewed by the USAF. The 30th of July, 1962, J-58 completes pre-flight testing. The 28th of December, 1962, Lockheed signs contract to build 6 SR-71 aircraft. The 25th of July, 1964, President Johnson makes public announcement of SR-71. The 29th of October, 1964, SR-71 prototype, AFSA. Number 61 to 7950, delivered to Air Force Plant 42 at Palmdale, California. The 7th of December, 1964, BLAFB, CA, announced as base for SR-71. The 22nd of December, 1964, first flight of the SR-71, with Lockheed test pilot Robert J. Bob Gilliland at Palmdale, 125. The 21st of July, 1967, Shin Watkins and Dave Dempster fly first international sortie in SR-71 AFSA. Number 61 to 7972, when the Astro-Inertial Navigation System, ANS, fails on a training mission and they accidentally fly into Mexican airspace. The 5th of February, 1968, Lockheed ordered to destroy A-12, YF-12, and SR-71 tooling. The 8th of March, 1968, first SR-71 AFSA. Number 61 to 7978, arrives at Kadena AB, Okinawa to replace A-12S. The 21st of March, 1968, first SR-71, AFSA. Number 61 to 7976, operational mission flown from Kadena AB over Vietnam. The 29th of May, 1968, CMSGT Bill Gornick begins the tie-cutting tradition of Hapu Cruise Nectis. The 13th of December, 1969, 2 SR-71s deployed to Taiwan. 1970s 1980s. The 3rd of December, 1975, first flight of SR-71 AFSA. Number 61 to 7959, in big-tail configuration. The 20th of April, 1976, TDY operations started at RAF Mildenhall, United Kingdom with SR-71 AFSA. Number 61 to 7972. 27 The 28th of July, 1976, SR-71 sets speed and altitude records. Altitude in horizontal flight 85,068.997 foot, 25,929.030 m, and speed over a straight course, 2,193.167 miles per hour, 3,529.560 kilometers per hour. August 1980, Honeywell starts conversion of affix to defix. The 15th of January, 1982, SR-71B, AFSA. Number 61 to 7956, flies its 1,000 th sortie. The 21st of April, 1989, SR-71, AFSA. Number 61 to 7974, is lost due to an engine explosion after taking off from Kadena AB, the last Blackbird to be lost, 4-5. The 22nd of November, 1989, USAF SR-71 program officially terminated. 1990s. The 6th of March, 1990, last SR-71 flight under Senior Crown Program, setting 4 speed records en route to the Smithsonian Institution. The 25th of July, 1991, SR-71B, AFSA. Number 61-7956/NASA number 831 officially delivered to NASA Dredon Flight Research Center at Edwards AFB, California. October, 1991, NASA engineer Marta Bonmeyer becomes the first female SR-71 crew member. The 28th of September, 1994, Congress votes to allocate $100 million for reactivation of 3 SR-71s. The 28th of June, 1995, first reactivated SR-71 returns to USAF as Detachment 2. The 9th of October, 1999, the last flight of the SR-71, AFSA. Number 61-7980/NASA 844. Records. The SR-71 was the world's fastest and highest-flying air-breathing operational manned aircraft throughout its career, and it still holds that record. On the 28th of July, 1976, SR-71 serial number 61-7962, piloted by then-Captain Robert Helt, broke the world record, an absolute altitude record of 85,069 feet, 25,929 m. 11, 127, 128, 129. Several aircraft have exceeded this altitude in zoom climbs, but not in sustained flight. 11. That same day SR-71 serial number 61-7958 set an absolute speed record of 1,905.81 knots, 2,193.2 miles per hour, 3,529.6 kilometers per hour, approximately Mach 3.3. 11, 129, 130. SR-71 pilot Brian Shaw states in his book The Untouchables that he flew in excess of Mach 3.5 on the 15th of April, 1986 over Libya to evade a missile. 95. View from the cockpit at 83,000 feet, 25,000 m, over the Atlantic Ocean, 126. The SR-71 also holds the speed over a recognized course record for flying from New York to London, distance 3,461.53 miles, 5,570.79 kilometers, 1,806.964 miles per hour, 2,908.027 kilometers per hour, and an elapsed time of 1 hour 54 minutes and 56.4 seconds set on 1 September 1974, while flown by USAF pilot James V. Sullivan and Noel F. Whitfield, Reconnaissance Systems Officer, RSO. 131. This equates to an average speed of about Mach 2.72. Including deceleration for in-flight refueling. Peak speeds during this flight were likely closer to the declassified top speed of over Mach 3.2. For comparison, the best commercial Concorde flight time was 2 hours 52 minutes and the Boeing 747 averages 6 hours 15 minutes. On the 26th of April, 1971, 61-7968, flown by Majors Thomas B. Estes and Duane C. Vick, flew over 15,000 miles, 24,000 kilometers, in 10 hours and 30 minutes. This flight was awarded a 1971 Mackay Trophy for the most meritorious flight of the year and the 1972 Harmon Trophy for most outstanding international achievement in the art/science of aeronautics. 132, the last flight of a SR-71. In background SR-71S /N61 to 7972. Foreground pilot.